everyone, and welcome to the Global Parametrics Innovation Series. I'm here today with Maria Mateo, who is the founder of the Ibisa network. And today, hopefully, we'll be talking about impact and creating impact at scale within climate resilience. So, Maria, thank you so much for speaking to me today. I'm really looking forward to having a discussion with you. And welcome.
No, thanks a lot, Wendy. It's really a pleasure to be here. So thank you for the invite.
So we can get into it by just talking a little bit about Ibisa.
So Ibisa is an insurtech startup. We are based out of Luxembourg, and our mission is to enable agriculture insurance worldwide, and especially for smallholder farmers that today don't have access to any type of insurance. We were created in 2019, and now we are in India, Philippines, and West Africa.
So, I mean, how are you? You're saying you're like looking to create impacts and try and find that risk protection for smallholders who might traditionally not be able to receive that sort of protection. Can you talk a bit more about how you're doing that? And I know that your platform is incredibly innovative and you have a lot of technology from the back of it. So
I think the problem is that agriculture in particular and farmers, of course, in special, they are more and more affected of extreme weather events. And before they have their own ways of managing this risk and coping with it. But as these events are becoming more a normal thing and really going to extremes, they don't know anymore how to manage this risk. And we see a lot of demand arising from these farmers on solutions to help them becoming more resilient. So there is where parametric insurance is really is really a breakthrough because of all the benefits that bring. Not only the correlation that satellite data has with the risks, but also the operational part. The fact of not having to file a claim, the fact of being able to do assessment of a loss without going to the field. This amount of efficiencies, cost reduction, make insurance not only available but also inclusive for these farmers that are somewhere in the middle of India with a small plot of land that otherwise nobody would be interested in protecting them because it would be just too expensive.
And you sort of mentioned before that the original ways of mitigating risk or coping with like such threats from droughts or other natural hazards just aren't possible maybe with the recurring intensity and frequency of such events now, probably due to in part climate change as well. So I mean, you're talking about your platform and how it's enabling the scale of such programs for smallholders. I know that you have operated in India and in Niger as well.
So our role is to be this missing link between the capital market or the risk transfer markets and the ground. Because today there is a missing point in the value chain. So what we do is we design weather index-based products, and we have a platform to distribute and manage these products, including the loss assessment. And we sell this to insurers. So we work with insurance actors, and we build this capacity for them so that they can then sell this type of products to the farmers, because they have the link to the farmers, they have already the critical mass, but they don't have the knowledge of underwriting these kind of products. They don't have the digital tools to distribute and manage them, the loss assessment. So we are the glue between the field part with the insurer and the market part. In India, we are today working with a mutual insurer called DAN, People Mutuals. They are based out of South India, Tamil Nadu, but they reach 14 states and more than 1.4 million households. And we are now with them for 4 seasons, scaling up and covering especially paddy crops and vegetables, although our model is agnostic to the type of crop. And one interesting data point is that in the last season, we had 91% of onboarded farmers were women. And it was the first time they had access to crop insurance. So that was really an important milestone for us that we want to continue keeping this kind of percentage as we grow, especially in India.
Yeah, of course. I think, yeah, it's important to think about the gender element to these things because people always talk about the risk protection gap and the protection gap within just insurance coverage for smallholder farmers. But there is a really important gender element to gaining these sorts of formal access to finance and insurance products within that. So it's really encouraging to see that there's these programs out there to provide specifically this form of protection to women as well. So that's really exciting. But, to kind of change tack a little bit, to talk a little bit more about the technology that you have behind your platform. I know you use satellites specifically within your platform, and I'd be really interested to find out a little bit more about how that works and how you operate within that.
Yes, so maybe a little bit about my background. I'm not coming from the insurance industry myself. My other 2 co-founders, they are, but I'm coming from the satellite industry and space industry. So I'm an engineer, and I'm really a believer in technologies as enablers for progress and enabling society to move forward. So, and that's why we really, without over engineering, that is also something that should not happen. We use technology to lower the cost of traditional insurance models and to make insurance inclusive and affordable. So affordable and providing value for money for the farmers, and also sustainable and profitable for the insurers. So that's the compromise. And we use 3 main technologies. So one is the satellite data. So we use today ESA, European Space Agency, and NASA satellites to build our index. So we use historical data, and we have a platform to do this modeling. And we use the very same data, but actual data for doing loss assessments, remote and automated loss assessment. Secondly, we use blockchain as a second technology. So we use blockchain in different part of our solution. And we think this will continue growing because insurance is really a segment or a sector that is built on trust. And blockchain is bringing this trust by design because of a single ledger and because of the way it's built. So, but we had to recognize that it was in 2019 too early for the insurers and let's say the entire chain to enter more into blockchain because it was also a usability problems or a challenge. So we are using blockchain first in our loss assessment platform. So this is also bringing an additional value, the traceability of the results and the data that is used to do an assessment. We also have a process, a mechanism to do a second step validation of loss assessment. So everybody in the parametric industry speaks about the challenge of basis risk. So we have put in place one step further on the loss assessment to lower, to fight against the basis risk. And this is a platform for crowd assessment. So we have built a community of people that are knowledgeable in satellite data, and they connect to our platform. We provide them like an interface with the relevant data to assess a risk. For example, if there's a drought, we will have the index that is used, the anomalies, some statistical analysis, and then each of these people is doing individual assessments on some of the cases. And then when we have a critical mass, more than 20, then we merge all this in a median way. And this is giving like a weighted answer of all these assessments. And then we compare this result with what we have in our automated results. And with that, we achieve improvements in these cases where our own algorithms are not bringing the result with enough, let's say, probability of being right. So we use this two-step loop in order to improve the loss assessment at the micro level, not at the meso level, but at the micro level.
Exactly, and that really like builds up that backstop that you need as well.
And then the blockchain plays there because we have built an incentive model, so that is based on people earning reputation, and they build their own reputation as a token. And also we are working on implementing a blockchain solution also to govern, let's say, with smart contracts, the relation between us and the risk transfer markets.
That sounds really exciting. I think it's great. I mean, within these sort of traditional or more perceived traditional sectors of finance, to have these kind of disruptors and this innovation is just it's really exciting to see, and it's great to see that it's happening in the real world, and especially in places where the traditional sector is lacking.
It really brings another level of efficiency, and then it really removes frictions.
And I guess with this innovation, data is ever more accessible and a lot more easier for people on the ground to understand and to know and manage and therefore mitigate their risk from.
Yeah, and also on the regulatory side, because is again this thing of trust. When everything is, let's say, available and you can access, then the trust is built already.
Exactly. And then once you're already in these markets, there's a ready-made program that can be built on, it can be scaled. The impact is already there that you're highlighting, and it sounds great, to be honest. So I guess like looking to the future for Ibisa, what do you have? What plans have you got in the pipeline? What are your thoughts on how the market's moving, on how the new technology is going?
So it's really exciting, I have to say, and also, I mean, I think it's key the role of Global Parametrics for all this industry, because when we started in a new country like now Philippines, usually the first step is always a phase where the volume is not very high, because it's the first time the local insurer is using parametrics. It's first time everything. So volumes are not so big. Then with these volumes that are not so big but with a lot of potential, it's very hard to establish a relation with a reinsurer, because again all these infrastructure costs and everything costs. So for a small for a kickstart, it's very hard to get them on board. But there is where Global Parametrics really plays a fabulous role to enable these initiatives and give the first so needed support to do first phase, and then when it starts scaling, then bring the other players on board. So now we are in this bringing the other players on board for the growth in India and for the growth in Philippines, and we are developing the West Africa market. So in West Africa, we work with breeders and pastoralists for a product to protect the grasslands of the livestock. So we did like a dry run in Niger that was very successful, with 8,700 breeders signing up in 1 month. So it was quite overwhelming. And now we are working in launching in Senegal with the local insurer, and in other West Africa countries, because they have, for breeders and pastoralists, they face more or less the same risk, and they have the same first need, because it's a group that is always, let's say, left behind in terms of any financial instrument, being insurance or credit or anything. So I think that was also one of the reasons why we had so much people coming, because it says for us is the first product ever for us, and they were really happy to be part of it, like proud. So this was a really good experience that we are working to replicate in different West African countries. And also we have some very promising partnerships with some global companies that will allow us to accelerate growth in some interesting markets. So these are our next steps: focus on growing where we are, launching in some key places, and continue building strong partnerships, because this is all about partnerships and collaboration.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that, just to your point on partnerships, it's so important to collaborate within this space, particularly within these areas where like these sorts of technologies and programs are quite difficult to catalyze, or quite difficult to kickstart. So it's great to hear that you're scaling up in these areas, you're expanding in your geographic reach, and yeah, it's been great talking to you today, and I hope to sort of watch the Ibisa space and hear more from you soon. So thank you very much.